It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, Ace Man, it's Cam from Boston. Just wanted to report that both my mom and dad made me a variety of sandwiches: corned beef, roast beef, Italian style, PB&Js, PB and fluffs, all different kinds of lunch meats, you name it. I love the shit out of them, but I also didn't permanently move out of their 1,000 square foot house till I was about 29 years old. So there's a give and take there, but take it easy.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
So, little twist with rifling. I was connecting rifling with bullets, but they rifled their muskets in the Civil War, which gave their musket balls more accuracy.
Yeah.
But still not as accurate as a bullet would be, which came a few years
You
later.
make about 300 yards if it's rifled.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, your dad knows.
I think so, yeah.
David, did your mom, I know your mom was a nurse and a sweet lady and looked the other way and kept stolen mopeds in the kitchen, but
Yeah.
did she make you sandwiches? And in Ireland, do they eat sandwiches?
Well, yeah, you'd be shocked. We will eat any food. If you're from a country that had starvation, you're going to eat anything, except potentially peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, who a very small population, or number of the population, stole from America. But for the most part, I think we do not believe peanut butter to be a protein whatsoever.
What is a good Irish sandwich?
Ham and cheese, or cheese and ham, or you can have ham and cheese. And the only decision is it on white bread or brown bread.
And did your mom make you sandwiches?
Yeah, she would have. I still remember turning up in I think I was one of Ireland's first exchange students ever to this university in Montreal, and also the last. But I'll never forget walking into Subway and the guy just offered me all these different bread types. And I was like, the hell are all these questions? Like raw bread, dry bread, double red crunch. And I'm like, dude, you just decide. And he's like, it is not my job, sir, to pick the cheese or the bread. And I was like, I've never had all these options before. I literally just got a bread roll. At one stage when I was working in a factory somewhere when I was in college, I just buy a bread roll, nothing on it at all, just a bread roll and a thing of milk. So yeah, your sandwiches are slightly fancier. I've never seen a country put so many unnecessary objects in a sandwich.
Well, you know what I realize? We are a country that likes telling people on the other side of the counter what to do.
Yeah.
And I now had this thought. Starbucks is for ladies, because every lady I've ever done, my Starbucks orders, give me a large coffee, and then they go, what kind of, just medium or whatever you got, whatever's new, put it, then I'll just put a little cream in it, right? Every woman I've ever known they want the caramel macchiato, light foam, but not too hot, and lots of questions. Do you have almond milk? Do you have almond? No. How about coconut? Do you do a soy milk? Do you want almond, soy, coconut? And what they're doing is they're having, it's basically the train to the dress. Like, I'm getting married. I need some squires to carry this thing behind me, do my bidding. And the person behind the counter is having to take this super complicated order. Every woman has that. Every guy pretty much just wants a cup of coffee. Now, but the sandwich place, that's where the guy kicks in. Where he's like light mayo, extra mustard, a double up on the tomato, no onion. What, use it sweet relish, or is it right now? We're at Starbucks.
You want pepperoncinis or what?
Yeah,
exactly.
Now,
a whole bunch of things I've never heard of in my whole life were the options that presented itself to me. Especially when you come from a country that's known to be a dairy-loving country, but you only have one option, like milk or no milk. There's no skim milk, semi-skilled, half-skilled. I was like, how is your whole country lactose intolerant?
Wait, you're telling me cuisine has not returned to Ireland since the Great Potato Famine?
Easy now. It certainly has. We've imported a lot of the foods from around the world. We're getting fancy these days, but growing up, yeah.
Well, you know what? What Ace was really getting at was, did your mom put love in these sandwiches?
Did she care?
She put love in the sandwiches.
She cared.
She put love in the microwave chips, yeah. I can't speak badly about her because she passed away recently. And then her last wish, this is what I've been doing for the last few weeks because I was in Brazil, and she wanted to be cremated, but she wanted the ashes spread in America. And I'm like, weren't you a legal immigrant in America? That'd be pretty ironic if we just legally spread your ashes over there. But I've had to carry them with me, so I've been traveling around with these fucking ashes for the last few weeks, and it was getting pretty morbid. Like,
bro, let's go to Forest Lawn and just do this this right now.
That's what I was
Wait,
thinking.
it's in the trunk of your car?
I put them in the post to my uncle, and then USPS lost them in the post.
Oh, no.
Your mom took a trip.
Yeah, she went on a 5-day trip, and then they finally found them. So anyway, you're bringing back all the love and memories. Did she make sandwiches with love? She definitely did. Did I deserve to put her in USPS and lose her? Remains around the States? No.
She was really scared. Look, first off, this is interesting, this concept of the multi-scatter zone, because I met a woman last weekend, and I was at a car thing in Talladega, at the racetrack at Talladega in Alabama. And she called me over, and she said, Adam, let me show you my car. It's a slant-nose Porsche. I mean, it doesn't have the lights up front, so slant nose. And it's a turbo and blah, blah, blah. And it had a roll cage in it and a harness and stuff. And she said, my husband, God bless him, he just departed, but he would race this car and he'd take me and it was all, we'd go to that. And then I said, oh, well, that's so nice. You have his car and you have his memory and you take the kids and you bring it. And she said, and we did his ashes. We did it at the Corkscrew at Laguna Seca. Then we went to Road America and we scattered a few. And they're scattering his ashes on all his favorite tracks.
He's going to show up in so many murder investigations.
Hooters. They're like, we just found this guy's remains in Hooters.
This guy is
all his favorite
got
places.
his marks all over it.
So I would respectfully say you got to commit to a track that you want your ash. Like, look, I've raced at a lot of different places. I'll take Laguna Seca, fine. But I don't need to be spread to Road Atlanta. It's a lot of trouble for the person.
When you die, you want us to burn you up and then put you in the tires and burn you out around the track? That's what you're saying?
She evidently was like sprinkling it out the window. She was going around the track, I assume. But how many places does your mom want to go?
Well, that's the I did, or involuntarily go, as the case said. There was a guy that opened for me in a comedy club recently in Minnesota. And he's like, I'm Irish myself. It didn't sound it, but he was nice. And then he started talking about shooting his granddad's remains. They made bullets out of its granddad, and then we're shooting him out of a musket somewhere. And I'm like, that is some second generation Irish stuff.
Was it rifle? Was it a musket rifle? Did his grandfather find the mark?
Some old school good. They were just shooting him out of this thing, loading him up and shooting him out. I don't know.
Put his ashes.
I've never heard that before. Made bullets out of it.
I've never heard that.
I'm going to do Mike Miller with the 21 gun salute.
Yeah, I thought it was very American. I'm like, that's way more American than Irish. Don't be blaming that on your Irish heritage. We are not shooting our dead people out of guns.
So how many places does your mom want to be scattered?
Only one, but I think hopefully none of our spilled out going around the USPS depot.
Okay, so
only one. Only
one.
No, she'd been a nurse for a long time in a place outside New York City, so that was
that's where she wants to go.
Only one. No racetracks, but I mean, I could do a detour.
God bless her.
That's what I was thinking. She made good sandwiches.
Is it a burden on the living to pick a place that's far away and then task the living with spreading the ashes around?
You know what my dad wants? He wants me to take him to Nepal and give him a sky burial. You know what that is?
No.
Oh, my God. They hack you up and then feed you to the vultures. You get picked off the top of a mountain.
Yeah, see, that's imposing. Hunter S. Thompson's remains were shot out of a cannon.
Yeah, hell yeah. I knew I heard that somewhere.
You guys are shooting the living and the dead out of
I'm saying probably a 50 cal, you know.
I put on mine under the Golden Gate Bridge to be scarred. I did.
You want to be, that's on your will.
I have it on my will.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah, but now that you said it, I'm like, yeah, that's a bit imposing. Somebody has to risk their limbs.
No, I would. Listen, I'll handle you.
Thank you.
I'll just dump it off the edge. I'm not going into the water.
I'm thinking just feed my corpse to the great whites so they get a taste for human flesh.
Jeez, you've thought about this. You look way too happy when you said that.
Yeah. All right. So we do. Yeah, we like even gender reveals turns into a shot for us. You know, we like to fire stuff. That's
we like bombs. Yeah,
we like bombs, explosions.
Oh, you do.
I got to say, when I was in Alabama, I passed a few fireworks stands, and I was like, I want to go in.
Oh, nothing? You didn't even... I would have stopped by for
Any building that has no windows, I'm in. That strip club, fireworks, or good bar.
You're
Escape
a builder.
room, sadly.
You know how good those 2x4s are put together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That thing wouldn't explode into a bit of shrapnel.
All right, what do you got in the news department?
Well, in the news, first up, Bruce Willis' wife, Emma, is defending her actions because she's taken Bruce home. and he'll, live out his days
Oh,
with dementia
taking him
at the
home
house.
from the home.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, why
So
is
she's
she
not putting
getting
him away? She's just out there, defending her action. People are saying, "Oh, he needs 24-hour care somewhere else." But she's taking. I know. I'm with you.
We have a weird relationship with death. Speaking of what we're just speaking of, but I just mean at a certain point, you've lost all quality of life. You don't know where you are. You take 5 people full time to take care of you. That's not. You're supposed to die at a certain point. We're able to stave that off with modern technology. But if you really talk about it, they go, well, we don't want these doctors playing God. Well, isn't that playing God? Like keeping someone alive for years after they should be dead?
But the thing is, it's like what? Let him starve himself out? Like what? Set him out into the woods? It's a very difficult decision to make.
I wouldn't trust my loved ones with you. You'd be dragging them up a mountain in Nepal trying to feed them to vultures.
I would put them in like a hamster ball situation where they just have to turn this wheel to create electricity for all time.
I came up with this horrible joke once, but it was in one of my books, which is they're talking about, who's going to pay to keep these people on life support for all this time, like Terry Schiavo and stuff like that. I said, all that stuff should be coin operated. And we'll see how many family members love you enough to feed quarters into that thing for the rest of your life. And it's
That's a great joke. What?
It solves itself because you wouldn't want to return to a world where nobody loved you enough to get a roll of quarters and put it in that machine.
The only way I'm doing it is if the horsey goes like this, back and forth, back and forth.
Hey, I think my mom, my dad recently died. They just stop eating at a certain point.
They have the choice to keep feeding them. And I think that was a call I got where I was like, are you guys okay? We would stop feeding her at this point. And we're like, no, she doesn't want to be around anymore. Like once you can't do stuff, you want to be out there. Now maybe you get desperate last minute and you change your mind. You're like, actually, I haven't made my peace with a few things. I want to keep going. But it was a weird one. She was lucky and unlucky because they gave her a cancer diagnosis. She was gone within 2 weeks.
2 weeks
on the full diagnosis of it. Yeah, but she would have, if I had asked her in advance, like, how do you want this to play out? That's how she would have wanted to play out.
Yeah.
She wouldn't have wanted to be in a home with someone looking after her all day. I'll tell you that.
A lot of, I remember finding my grandmother. My grandmother had pills hidden in an armoire that had like a crown molding at the top, and it was about a foot from the ceiling. It was like a dresser, and I was, as a carpenter, I was putting crown molding up in her bedroom. And I got up on a ladder and I looked down into this piece of furniture and there was pills and a couple things of pills. And I said to her, she was younger-ish at the time. I don't know, she's 69, 70 or something. I said, what's these pills hidden up in these things? And she said, oh, those are my suicide pills. Wow. And I said, what's the plan with that? She said, well, when I get older, I don't want to hang out and be a burden, and I don't want to live this life where I'm married to a wheelchair and in bed and someone's wiping my ass. I'm taking those pills. I'm getting out with dignity. And I remember at the time, I was like 20, 21. I was like, all right, well, good for you then. Good. That bitch made it like 94, had full-time help, went through all her fucking savings, had to get a second mortgage on the house. She hung on to every last second of her life being picked up and set on the toilet, all that stuff with all this suicide pill stuff. She did not reach for those pills.
Meanwhile, I'm hanging out with one inside a capsule in my tooth.
That's right, like a German officer in Nuremberg. All right, what else we got?
All right, next we got, a little viral moment. Billionaire Mark Cuban got faced with some tough questions from former Fox News host Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, I saw this.
This is a pretty funny clip.
I like Mark Cuban, but Mark has a little pie-in-the-sky version of life. But all right, here it is. Sorry.
Mark, let me ask you a question. What's your take on whether we should be sending money to Ukraine or not? Were you in favor of that?
Man, they need it.
I mean, honestly, I don't have a good answer. I can make an argument both ways, and half my family is Ukrainian from my grandparents. And so, personally, I think we should help. But I don't have a studied answer for you.
How much money have you sent to Ukraine?
None.
Oh, so what do you mean by we? You're the one whose family's from Ukraine. Like, why don't you send them $1 billion?
Because I'm trying to fix healthcare.
Why don't you fix their healthcare if you're like so deep? If you think we need to help, why don't you start? How about you first? Yeah. I notice that's never like even an option for anybody. It's like, we need to help. That's not what charity is. Forcing other people to help is not charity.
Here's the
it's
good
vanity.
news. The good news is all the weapons were on loan lease. We're getting it back. And our dear President Trump has negotiated that we own half the minerals. So he turned this horrible tragedy of a war into a profit center, which is one of his unique gifts. I think we can all agree.
Can I just...
Yeah, I like Tucker. I like both those guys. And Mark's a weird guy because he makes very strong takes strong positions, makes strong accusations and stuff, but he doesn't really defend them with a lot of fire. He just kind of goes, well, all right, yeah, you're right. They're both nice guys at their core who say a lot of sort of outrageous things, right and left, and Tucker sort of everywhere in between. At his core, he's like a super gregarious guy, likes humor, likes to laugh, sort of is a writer more than he is a speaker, does tons of writing, has an interesting life of lives in the guest house with his wife and their dogs, gets up in the morning and dunks himself in the cold swimming pool and then writes, and it's this eclectic kind of rides his bike around the island in Florida he lives on and stuff. He's a hard guy to categorize. He says a lot of nutty things. I would imagine that him and Cuban are probably a lot alike, even though they don't seem a lot alike. There's a lot of guys that are a lot alike that seem diametrically opposed. There's a lot of guys I was just talking to Bill O'Reilly, and he's always busting Kimmel's balls, and I'm sure Jimmy Kimmel hates Bill O'Reilly. They're a lot alike. They're just different in terms of their subject, but as humans, there's a lot of similarities.
The hardware is similar, but the software is different.
They're both funny. O'Reilly doesn't get credit for it, but he likes comedy and he's funny. They're both big, sort of bigger than life. They're both super opinionated and feel strongly about their own opinion. They both have a lot of they're headstrong. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what's right. Here's what I'm going to say. There's a lot of crossover with them. I'm not making this up. It exists in many facets of life, but I don't think Mark Cuban and also I think Mark Cuban and Tucker could definitely have a beer and a laugh together.
The shadow realm thems back and forth. Yeah.
Well, it was a good question. He certainly, the writer in him came out for that moment because that's a show-stopping question.
Oh, he zinged him with the nerdy question. I know.
Yeah, I agree with him to some degree. But if you are a billionaire and there's something you feel passionate about, then you should. I think most rich people know that at the end of the day, their money is getting squandered wherever they give it, no matter what. Whenever you do this, Mandami is now going, if we just get an extra 1% from the 1%, then we'd have $10 billion extra. It's you're not going to fix it. You never fix anything. Nothing ever comes out the other end. So Mark Cuban could liquefy all his wealth right now, get it down to $2.7 billion, put it all in an attaché case and take it to Ukraine and hand it to Mandami, or hand it to Zelensky, and then there'd be zero, nothing would ever come out
the other end.
The other end. You could take, or he could take it all and give it to the LA Unified School Board. And 10 years from now, test scores would be exactly the same, and nothing would ever. And I think those guys all kind of know that. So,
yeah, it's a drop in the ocean sometimes.
Well, I'm saying if I'd set up with Lockheed Martin, right, and I just go, hey, pump these out right here. You have a strange new world of billionaires funding wars or something, or funding aid, or I don't know what that really brings up if you're going to give money directly.
It's a gotcha. To be fair to Cuban, I don't like when people do and they go, when the politician goes, we got to bring these grocery prices down, and they go, how much does a quart of milk cost? And they go, I don't. Oh, you don't even know how much a quart of milk costs? And it's I know he doesn't. it still means
Yeah,
we got to bring these costs down.
It's a loaded question. But it's funny, as you were talking, I was just thinking that it's funny when someone you know is financially well off hits you up to give to a cause, and they're like, hey, we're doing this half marathon. We're only $400 away from our target. And you're like, dude, you're worth like $6 million. Just pay the $400. What do you email it all your friends for? Just make it happen. But I often think that if you're sitting on that many resources, well, go change something.
I believe that they know better than anybody that you could give Ukraine $10 billion and nothing would change.
Well,
that's the problem.
It depends where you're sitting, because the Ukrainians that are calling Ireland home these days would bite your hand off to get that input to do something with it. So there's no bad that's going to come out of that.
No bad, but I think if you said to a lot of rich people, look, whether it's Ukraine or the homeless situation, you go, look, I have something that if we can raise, $20 billion, we can end homelessness tomorrow. They do it. But they don't think it. I mean, we just spent $24 billion and we don't have anything. We just have more homeless. So I think they don't think it's going to fix anything.
It's such a wild number here, the homeless thing. In Dublin, like when I was from in Ireland, you wouldn't see it growing up, but now you do. And it was a quantifiable number. So you're like, all right, we're all one person removed from these dudes. Surely we can fix this. And then it starts creeping up, and you're getting to the stage like, oh, crap, how do we actually do something about this? But in Ireland, I'd say it was very quantifiable and very solvable, and still is. That's why you have such a frustration. But in America, when I go around, it's on such a scale that you're like, Jesus, how do we stop that? Like you go to San Francisco or Seattle or Portland, you're just like, whoa, that is nuts. L.A.,
Yeah. Yes.
I think they just lose hope. They're like, I can't do it. And then you're like, you probably can. If you get your finger out, you can probably do something. I don't know. Maybe that's the optimist in me going, like, you can definitely do something. But did he sting him with a pretty good question? That's a good show-stopping question.
Yeah.
Especially if he's Ukrainian. It's kind of like a DJ Khaled posting the holiday photos these days. And you're like, what are you saying about your country? Like, when it's that close to home. You got to do something.
Where's DJ Khaled supposed to be from?
Palestine.
Oh, he's Palestinian.
I don't know. I assumed I know nothing about anything celebrity-orientated.
Little factoid, his first name was DJ Arab Attack.
Was it?
But he changed it after 9/11.
All right.
Wise move.
Next in the news, drone strike. Greta Thunberg led Gaza flotilla in Tunisian port.
You got to find Larry King interviewing DJ Khaled, because it's the greatest clip ever, because Larry King, it's weird. You go, well, he was a great interviewer. Was he a great interviewer? He was a great interviewer. So like every 9-year-old's a great interviewer, because every 9-year-old would just go, why are you so fat? And why are you bald? And what happened?
Exactly.
I loved him because I got to meet him, and I was like, talking to this guy was just like talking to. It was just wild. He was amazing. He got me thinking about things I never thought.
Oh, animatronic robot.
We talking about Larry?
Yeah, he was full of life.
I loved Larry.
Yeah,
he's been on this show a few times.
I was asking him. It was just me and 4 or 5 Jewish guys out to breakfast, and we were batting around like all the things of Irish and Jewish. And I was like, well, they're not naming dogs after you people, but they're doing with Irish people in America. Like, you wouldn't send that, would you? Like, and I was like, Molly, Murphy, and Riley treated top 10 dog names in America. But
I also have Irish setters.
Yeah, you have Irish. Well, at least we have some responsibility in those. You didn't just take the name and genericize it.
Molly's my Irish setter.
Dude, Larry was a character.
This is him telling Larry that he keeps clean. All right, it's awesome. Let's just watch.
I want the house on the water. I want the nice car. I want the nice watch. I want to stay fresh. I want to stay clean. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that. You should strive for greatness.
How did you gain all the weight?
That's a show-stopping question.
That's great. And he's also like he's like a detective, looking for traces of blood types, and it's how'd you gain all the weight?
I loved him. He sat, I went for breakfast. They used to do this breakfast meetup that I was lucky to be part of twice. Somebody got invited, and it'd be Larry and a couple of his friends every morning.
In Beverly Hills?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very unusual. I was like, what am I doing at this thing? But
what are you doing at that thing?
I have no idea. And there was a beautiful girl from Argentina there, and she was like some news TV presenter. I'm like, she's definitely here as part of this thing as well. I didn't say hello because I'm like, whatever. But Larry he was pretending he couldn't hear her, So like I was sitting between them. So he's like, "Oh, a bit hard of hearing. You're gonna, hey, can you just move Irish fella out of the way to get her over?" And when he'd go into this restaurant, they'd take his jacket like religiously and go guard it somewhere. It's like this black leather jacket, and and he got up. I think he used to leave whenever his blueberries ran out. He'd bring his own blueberries or something with him to breakfast. It was something kind of quirky that I thought was pretty unusual. He's like, "Oh, 11 blueberries. That's it. I'm out of here. Off to work." And he gets up when the blueberries ran out, and he kind of puts out his arms as if he's expecting the jacket to come, but he was so busy talking to this Argentinian girl that I had taken the jacket and I was waiting to give it to him, but he didn't notice. And he was, what's the famous adage, like by Yogi Berra, that like the difference between men and women is like if a man's in a forest or something, he'd be like, "We're not lost, we're making good time." Something like that. But Larry had been telling that story and I'd been listening. But anyway, he's like, "Where's my jacket?" And I was like, "Well, you were lost in Argentina, but you were making good time. Here you go." And it does the biggest smile ever. I was like, "You old stallion," on the jacket and out the door.
He's going to be missed. All right,
brilliant
sorry.
character.
Greta.
Well, no, I just wanted you to know that Greta Thunberg got drone striked. Yeah. We've got some video.
Yeah, she was on a boat heading to Palestine.
Yes.
Or whatever.
Well, you know the thing, the rest of the world is fixated on a problem and solve it. You'll find the Irish on that boat and a few Brazilians and a lot of our actors and stuff. Yeah,
really?
They drone struck it last night. They drone struck the last flotilla as well.
But it didn't sink the boat, did it?
No. It just caught fire to the front deck, and then they put it out.
And what? Israel did this, I guess. I don't know.
100% Israel did that.
I saw another video that said they just dropped a flare. They misfired a flare on their
this
own
whole
boat.
thing is unclear.
Yeah, that's the American news version.
Yeah, there's like 6 versions of the story right now.
All right, but
they dropped a bouquet of flowers to say thank you.
Let's do this math. If Israel wanted to sink the boat, they could sink the boat.
I think they did destroy their last boat.
Oh,
It's a whole flotilla.
easily. Are you kidding me?
boats.
Like they have the best
Right, so
technology.
they don't want to sink the boat.
No.
What are they trying to do?
They're trolling them, I think.
They're
Somebody
trolling them?
is. I don't know. It's unclear at this time what's going on.
But also, do we believe anything Greta Thunberg says?
Well, I do, because there's a bunch of Irish people on those boats, and they are live putting out very reliable sources.
Just putting cigarettes out on oil rags, like they're just dancing on the...
Why are there a bunch of Irish people on it?
Well, we're very sensitive to any global issue where we think a large-scale minority group is being completely screwed over. So you will, wherever we view somebody as being hard done by in the world, we kind of... I don't know, we've nearly self-appointed ourselves to talk about it because we're like, hey, we got majorly screwed over. These guys are being majorly screwed over. We need to be speaking up for this.
Are these actors and other local people?
Activists. But the scale of this one, I think, was pretty huge. But it's wild because it's not on mainstream media over here ever. But in Ireland, it dominates our media.
We do a lot of, everyone knows Greta Thunberg is heading on the flotilla, but
this
we
stunt
got
works.
that.
So they're trying to draw attention to this cause, and they have.
Yeah, but you don't want to kill anyone, obviously, because you're killing all the world's activists and you're bringing negative news story about yourself. But they do want to stop it happening. They don't want anybody to be able to enter those waters and bring aid to anyone. I imagine. I don't know. I'm not the most well-versed news story person.
Right. So Israel doesn't want to sink the boat.
They want to stop them bringing aid to a bunch of people who need aid. It's
right,
a sign that you can't get through.
Isn't it bad PR for them to drop a flare on the boat?
Are you kidding? They have bigger problems. They're blowing up buildings and blowing up people. PR is not there.
You're thinking content farm, huh?
Yeah.
You're thinking inside job. I think it's very possible.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with the times we're living in. Some of the stuff is like the Nord Stream pipeline. It blew up. Yeah. And then we don't know if the Russians blew it up or we blew it up or somebody else blew it up. And then someone goes, why would the Russians blow it up? It's their pipeline. And then someone else would go, they blew it up because it's their pipeline and no one would think it was them blowing it up to get attention or whatever. So now your head's kind of swimming a little bit because you're like,
your news is alternate. But this one is more like you find a guy called Brian who set fire to your car and he's still sitting next to your car when it's on fire. And you're like, here, Brian, did you do that? And he's like, wasn't me.
So Israel You know,
It worked for Shaggy.
Ben Shapiro's going to be in here in a couple days. I'm going to ask him. Ben Shapiro. So Israel took a drone and fired something at it, or dropped
If they
it?
did, if that was the case, that'd be nonstop, wall-to-wall news.
Yeah,
I have
maybe it
not
was
heard
Hamas.
one
Maybe it
thing
was
about that.
I
Hamas
heard
with a
about
radio-controlled helicopter.
Well, you'll find it on the Irish State News if you go on there. That will be a big major story. But here it isn't. That's why when I was sitting and watching the TV and it's like the kid having the baseball stolen off them, I'm like, we're covering bigger
But
stories.
what I'm saying is the media hates Israel. This would be fodder for them. This would be manna from heaven. They would be all over the place with this.
I don't know if it's hate anyone I like something, but if you'll obviously have a certain side on things, so it's your susceptible.
I heard about
stop
it.
the genocide.
Greta in the looks department went a different direction than I was hoping.
Lord Farquaad haircut?
Yeah, it's a crazy page, boy, and stuff like that. I'm going to be petty, but I had heard this story, so it was somewhere, but I don't know where I saw it or where I heard it, and I still couldn't figure out. Well, I don't know. Let's watch it one more time. The boat was docked near Capitol. So the boat was docked, so it wasn't.
No, this was open ocean. That something.
Oh, then I don't know. Now I'm reading the boat.
No, it's in Tunisia.
What was the story? Was the boat docked? Was it
This is
out
second
in open water?
The main deck.
What's your take on whether we should be
All
sending
right.
The main, now we're running
Mark
off the rails.
Cuban.
He just drifted back to Ukraine there momentarily.
All right, I'll ask Ben Shapiro what he thinks happened.
Ask someone else. Don't ask the Irish because we'll get pretty riled up about that
the
one.
story says that the boat was docked near the Tunisian capital, Tunis, and then it was droned in the middle of the night. Tunisia denies droning them.
Yeah, and it wasn't.
And there is
Israelis.
video on Twitter of them misfiring a flare gun and lighting their own boat on fire.
See, that's what I'm saying. The story is developing.
Yeah, exactly. As in, none of us actually know.
All right, I'm ready to end on a
Well, but wait,
bewildered
Coach,
note.
we got important Charlie Sheen news. You got liposuction after a
all right.
prostitute called him fat, and then Charlie Sheen reveals how partying with Nicolas Cage sent him to rehab.
Charlie Sheen, for a guy who's got a lot of money, gets really critical prostitutes who they barricade themselves in his room. They like wreck things. They call him fat, which is, again, that's not good protocol.
He's the result of that motorcycle lifestyle that you were talking about earlier when
Yes.
it just doesn't stop. You just keep going. You're like, I'm going to keep going. I'm a wild man.
You're not supposed. First off, if you're a prostitute, 7/8 of your clientele is overweight because it's just rich business guys who can't get laid.
Well, if
without
you're in America,
paying
they're all
for it.
overweight.
They're all
and
overweight.
Statistically.
Right. So I'm saying let's not critique the guy in his underpants who's paying the bills around here. Like a little decorum would be nice. Didn't you see Pretty Woman? That's what I would do. I would sit down with any woman I was about to turn out, and I would sit down and I go, we're going to take 95 minutes, and I'm going to show you what a proper prostitute, how they dress, how they
Okay, but
act.
I'm still on a clock. She.
All right, I'll pay you, but let's just notice she did not try to stab him. She did not lock herself in the suite. She did not make fun of his appearance.
That's right. My mama raised me right.
I didn't say she had to be black, and Pretty Woman, she's not, but you get it. A little decorum. So the prostitute, but in a weird way, the prostitute is the mouth of babes because your publicist's not going to say anything. Your agent's not going to say anything. The wardrobe chick at 2.5 Men's not going to say anything because they're all getting paid. You know what I mean? Like, the prostitute is going to tell you the truth.
True. Not going to sugarcoat it. I know so little about Charlie Sheen that I'm like, I just assumed he was always doing strange prostitution things. So I was like,
Well, it's a numbers game, Ace. You get enough prostitutes going.
Yeah.
You'll
You're right.
get some compliments somewhere.
You're right.
But he is a man in the numbers game.
All right, let me tell everyone where everyone's going to be for everything. Bill O'Reilly, Confronting Evil, it's the name of his book. David's special, Shelf Help, as an elf on a shelf, is out September 11th. That's tomorrow as you hear this. Where do we go? Where do we find your special, by the way?
That one, I put it on YouTube.
On YouTube. Find it out on YouTube. I'll be in Albuquerque September 26th at the Chemo Theater, and then Flagstaff September 27th at the Orpheum Theater. And then I'm over at Kimmel's Club over there in Vegas. And just go to amcroll.com for all the live shows. Until next time, Adam Carolla from Mayhem and David NIHILL and Bill O'Reilly saying mahalo.